Protesters continue to be arrested. There are reports of many being killed. The government is also quelling the resistance by blocking the internet, making it harder for people to organize protests.
Let's look at this with Azadeh Pourzand, who's a human rights researcher at the University of London, focusing on women's activism in Iran. Welcome to DW. How dangerous is it for these women to protest so openly and to take off their headscarves as part of this protest?
Thank you so much for having me. I would, if I want to answer your question in a simple and short way, the danger is that they will be the next Mahsa Amini.
Okay.
They will be the next to be killed, to be injured, to be arrested, to be detained, and at minimum to be identified by the Iranian regime and to be harassed along with their families, to potentially lose their job, to get expelled of universities, and so on. So the risk is for them to basically lose any privileges that they may have in current circumstances in Iran, to lose their freedom and to lose their life.
And so what is it about this case that has so enraged women there, that has pushed them to take these risks?
I think many of us Iranian women, millions of us, I would say, see ourselves in Mahsa. Mahsa went through an experience by being stopped by the morality police and being taken to a detention center that I would say most Iranian women, regardless of their age, have experienced if they have lived in post-revolutionary Iran. So the trigger was that, you know, at a certain moment in time, you know, the case became public enough, and because the family bravely brought us to the hospital room with the photos that they were releasing, and so we were with Mahsa and her family as she was dying. Basically she was dying in the sense that she was killed by the authorities, as the father has now openly said. And we, during those moments, those hours, Iranian women, and I would say men, because a lot of men have also lost many, you know, have seen the women in their lives being humiliated by the morality police in Iran. We saw ourselves, we saw a part of ourselves dying, ourselves being killed. And I think that was an important moment. And I think here then social media and internet played a huge role, as well as the fact that there are so many other grievances in the country at the moment that it just sort of hit a point. It was a trigger point in many ways.
And so, as someone who was born and raised in Iran, you see yourself there. You completely empathise.
Yes, I would say that it's even probably beyond empathize. We really see ourselves in Mahsa. I'm not in Iran today, but I imagine that all of those women who are, you know, taking their scarves, burning their scarves, some of them are also themselves voluntarily veiled, but still are in the protest because they are objecting to compulsory veil for people who don't believe in it, and they think of themselves as Mahsa,
right,
of the next Mahsa or the previous Mahsa. And I also want to say here that these protests are not only about anti-compulsory veil, are not only about women's rights, are indeed about a nation's grievances against a very, very repressive establishment called the Islamic Republic.
And so, in the last minute of this interview, then, is there any chance, do you think, that the government will give way either on the issue of veils or indeed any of the other items on your list?
Absolutely not. This regime has over and over proven its capacity for repression, for killing people, and for not allowing any grievances to see any kind of fruition. So unfortunately, I don't think that the Islamic Republic will understand that it has to be flexible and it has to be able to allow justice to prevail and to give the rights in order to survive. Ironically, it will try to survive by repressing, but in the long run, this protest movement that has started a few years ago will defeat this establishment if they don't find a way to bow to people's demands.
Thank you for joining us and outlining that so clearly. Azadeh Pourzand.
Thank you.
Still to come here on DW. Germany's documenta art show draws to a close after being dogged by accusations of anti-Semitism. Has the reputation of the world-renowned exhibition sustained lasting damage? Now, first, though, the German parliament has begun its investigation of the botched evacuation of troops from Afghanistan last year. It's focusing on the many Afghan assistants left behind during the chaotic withdrawal, making them targets for the Taliban.
These images from Afghanistan shocked the world. Afghans fleeing the country after U.S., German, and Allied troops withdrew, ending a 20-year mission. Western-backed Afghan forces crumbled and the Taliban quickly regained power.
The Taliban were very strategic, and they, I think sometimes I had the impression they were always 3 steps ahead of our strategy and our negotiations.
Germany, like other countries, faced intense criticism over the long war's outcome. Berlin is accused of having misjudged the security situation in the country. The failures and their consequences now a subject of a German parliamentary investigation.
So I think this will be quite a sensitive issue and with very sensitive discussions. So there I think, yes, maybe we need some clarity about what went wrong in the end during the evacuation.
Critics say German organizations have